Welcome, YouTube Nation, to another episode of Broad Street and Beyond. Of course, bringing you all the local sports and beyond that as well. Of course, the beautiful gentleman next to me, as we always say, is Mr. JT.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. It's been a busy day, but I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, man, we're back at it here. Hopefully everybody's having a great week here in the YouTube world. It feels like we've been away for a while. It feels like we've been away for a month. It really does.
Well, no, it's only been a week. I think we did it a week ago, same time last. But I agree with you. It does feel like it's been a minute.
There is a ton of sports, of course, that we got to catch up on that we missed in the last time that we were here. But let's tackle the 3 questions to warm JT up, since he had a busy day today, and get at those and just throw him some questions that he doesn't know I'm going to even ask him right now. So here we go, JT. You ready?
Uh-oh.
Here we go, buddy. If you were a football player, what position would have you played if you played football? Waterboy doesn't count.
Probably what doesn't count?
Waterboy. Waterboy doesn't count.
Oh, Waterboy. I probably would have been the Waterboy. Probably I would say running back, because I would think as short as I am, I probably had that low center of gravity. Maybe I could have snuck through the hole a little bit. You know what I mean? Squeezed through without anybody noticing, and emerged out of the pile. And you know, I'm not the fastest guy, but I would think I could, pick up a couple extra yards afterwards.
You might be able to be the next Kenny Gainwell, for sure. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
You are a dad. I need one good dad joke. You got any?
Let me think. Oh, a good dad joke. How about I'll take one that I saw online when they come and like when you're out to eat and you've finished everything on your plate. And they'll say, right, "Did you enjoy your meal?" And you say, "Can't you tell? I hated it." That's a good dad joke, right?
That is a good dad joke. That is a good one. Third question to get you warmed up. I don't know how we can even go after that one. Favorite food to cook on the grill?
Chicken breast.
That's a good one. You put anything on that?
Yeah. I like to season it up, but I like basting some barbecue sauce on there.
There you go. All right, now that we got you warmed up, man, let's dive into some sports. Of course, we missed the Major League Baseball games 6 and 7. Let's start there. That was about a hot minute ago when the Dodgers, the stinking Dodgers, JT, won the World Series. Game 6, of course, went to the Dodgers. It was a pitcher's duel for Yamamoto in game number 6, then game number 7, man. How that game ended in game 7 was just unbelievable for the Dodgers to come back and win it in 11 innings to take the World Series championship for the second straight year.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine likes to call them the Los Angeles deferred salaries, because that's kind of what they do, and that's why they're able to afford the type of payroll that they do. But yeah, it was a really, really entertaining series. Probably, I would say, one of the best World Series in recent memory. Certainly one of the best Game 7s. Right. Not maybe the best, but one of the best. I mean, as far as, it looked like the Jays kind of maybe had it under control. And then Miguel Rojas with the home run off of Jeff Hoffman in the top of the 9th. And then they get the Will Smith home run in extra innings. So, the Dodgers played really good defense in that Game 7 and really played pretty good defense throughout the playoffs. And their pitching, I would say the biggest thing is that their pitching held up better than Toronto's, just because they had more guys, with Blake Snell, and certainly what Yamamoto did was tremendous. I would say, as far as like Game 7s, I would probably rank it in probably the top 3. Like the other Game 7 that sort of sticks out in my mind, if you go back to like 2016 when the Cubs beat the Indians in that Game 7, that was a really good one. The Cubs had a big lead in that game. The Indians came back and tied it. I think it was in the 8th inning. I think it was Rajay Davis, if I'm not mistaken, hit a 2-run homer to tie that game up. And then that went to extra innings, and I remember Ben Zobrist hit a double in
Oh,
that
yeah,
game
Ben Zobrist.
that gave the Cubs the lead in extra innings, and then they went on to win it. But yeah, that was as good of a game 7. And again, what Yamamoto did coming back the following day after pitching, I think it was 3 innings. I mean, that was clutch. I mean, I think back to when Madison Bumgarner came back in the 2014 World Series, another series that went to 7 games. I think he came back on 2 days rest and pitched like the last, I think it was the 5th inning on to preserve a 1-run lead. I thought that was incredible at the time, but what Yamamoto did this postseason with back-to-back complete games, and then again coming back on no days rest and pitching 3 innings like that, I think was just absolutely phenomenal.
At bottom of the ninth, I mean, top of the ninth, the Dodgers tied up. They tied at 4. Then they go into the bottom of the ninth, and who was it? Clement that hit that deep fly ball with what the bases were, I think, loaded at the time. Kiki Hernandez, so. Andy Page out in the outfield, almost collide. They catch it to end the bottom of the ninth. Just the heroics in the bottom of the ninth, and then how it ended in the bottom of the 11th too. I mean, it was quite the series, and it was also. Did you get to read too? The viewership was absolutely incredible for game number 7 of that World Series. Did you get to see that?
No, I didn't see that, but I'm not surprised by that. Just because, I mean, for starters, you got the LA market, and obviously, the longer a series goes, and it looks like it's going to be competitive. You know what I mean? Like once you get to a game 7,
get more people in.
You're going to have every casual fan probably tuning in to see that because, it's not often. I mean, it happens on a fairly regular basis, but I wouldn't say it's often that a World Series goes to a game 7 anymore. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the viewership was as high as it was. But yeah, getting back to what you said, that catch in center field, and and Dave Roberts put in Pages just before that as a substitution. So it's like he pushed all the right buttons in that series, and especially in that game, and just I hate it that the Dodgers won, but I mean,
me too.
As a baseball fan, it was really an incredible 7-game series.
It was the most watched Major League Baseball game since 1991. 51 million viewers across U.S., Canada, Japan, and also the series averaged 34 million viewers globally, largest average audience since 1992. So pretty incredible World Series, even if you didn't have any interest in the Dodgers or the Blue Jays. It was a pretty incredible series, to say the least.
Right, and like you said, you're going to get that L.A. market. I think the Dodgers kind of have that national appeal. And again, you talk about the viewership they got internationally, obviously with Ohtani and Yamamoto, that's going to drive up that viewership too.
There is some Phillies news to get to as well. As you may have seen, Harrison Bader declined his end of a $10 million mutual option for 2026. He's now a free agent. They did pick up Jose Alvarado's, though, option for the 2026. He will not be a free agent. What do you think of Harrison Bader? He still may come back to the Phillies, but he's now a free agent.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that happened. I think he's probably thinking that he has a chance to make some more money. I mean, I really, really want the Phillies to bring him back.
Yeah.
It's really a shame that he got hurt in the division series and wasn't quite the same. But I thought when they got him and once he was in the fold, I thought he added an element to that lineup that they needed. He's a great everyday center fielder. I just think he has a little bit of swagger and he just brings something to that team that I think they need, and that little bit of swagger. Yeah, I really, really hope that they can bring him back because I feel like they haven't really had an everyday center fielder, like what I mean, like a guy that you can have in the lineup every day that can, get it done at the plate and also in the field. Like they've had Johan Rojas that defensively you could say is an everyday center fielder, but not at the plate. And I think they would have both if they were able to bring Harrison Bader back, and hopefully they do.
A lot more transactions, obviously, to come with a lot of those guys still free agents out there. Schwarber, I saw they made a 1-year qualifying offer to him. You knew that was coming. He's certainly not going to take, I don't think, a 1-year deal from anybody. That's going to be probably a 3 to 5 year deal for Kyle Schwarber. But a lot of transactions still to come for the Phillies here in the offseason for sure.
Yeah, and I've seen different things out there. I mean, I think you heard some chatter towards the end of the regular season that the Reds were going to throw a lot of money at Schwarber because he's from that area. But I've also seen now I've seen some predictions about maybe the Red Sox making a play for Kyle Schwarber.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. It's going to cost the Phillies a lot of money, and I think that he would be their number one priority. But then you start to think of what's it going to take, a 6-year deal, and you figure you have to start to think about that. You've already got Harper and Turner on those long-term deals, and what are those contracts going to look like? What kind of players are those two guys going to be on the back end of their contracts? I mean, we're already having this chatter in the off season with the comments from Dave Dombrowski about if Bryce Harper can be that elite player again, which I know he didn't take too kindly to. So, you want to see Schwarber back certainly because of the year he had, but now you've got 3 guys that are in their that are north of 30 that you're investing a lot of years and a lot of money to. And then next thing you know, you have an aging core of players.
And if you're building around that core that really hasn't gotten it done here in the past 3-4 years either, man, you're going to have to sign some big name guys to come in there and wheel and deal. So see what the Phillies do. They did do some paper transactions too. They did reinstate Zach Wheeler from the 60-day injured list, right-hander Daniel Robert as well, and Rafael Lantigua. Never heard of the guy. They outrighted him to they outrighted him to Triple-A Lehigh Valley. He's now a free agent.
That's a championship move there. Oh, that's huge.
You're switching teams now, are you?
Oh, why don't you lead with that? Why don't you lead with that?
I was going to.
That's huge.
His big 230 and 7 home runs, 5 RBIs. He's now a free agent. Somebody else can have him. Let's switch gears, buddy. College football. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. College football, my man. Know where we're going with this. Of course, Ohio State, Penn State, the big game. Penn State gets handed their 5th straight loss, losing both games now. Terry Smith is the interim head coach. Ohio State dominated pretty much that second half. It looked good for the Penn State Nittany Lions in the first half, only trailing by 3, but overtaken in the second half, of course, by Ohio State, that 5th straight loss. And it doesn't get any easier this upcoming weekend up in Happy Valley against number 2 Indiana.
No, it doesn't. And I guess I think the bigger story is that you're one step closer to that smash burger, right? That's
I'm getting there.
I think that's
There's
too
many games
really
on the schedule.
No.
Yeah.
Don't forget about
and after this weekend, I'll be another game closer too.
So I guess I would consider myself. I'm not like I wasn't being a good fan on Saturday. I actually did not watch the game. I watched it later, but I didn't watch it live. I took my son and a friend of his up. A friend of mine had tickets to Lehigh University football. So I went up to Lehigh, and I was front and center to watch some Patriot League football, to watch the undefeated Lehigh Mountain Hawks take on Georgetown.
It's probably a better option.
That's what I was doing.
It's a better option anyway.
Lehigh's a fun team to watch. They have a really good defense, and they're undefeated. I think they're ranked number 7 in Division I AA and the FCS. But anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but yeah. So I did go back and watch, and I give Penn State credit for showing some fight in that first half. They got that turnover late, and they were within 17-14, but even then, obviously I knew the result before I sat down to watch it. But even as I was listening as it happened, I never really thought that result was in danger. You know what I mean? That result was ever in question. And even if you're like an incredibly optimistic fan and you thought that Penn State had a shot, it was really going to come down to what was going to happen in that opening drive of the second half. And again, even if you were hopeful, the Buckeyes take the opening drive, and I think it was like 75 yards on only 5 plays, and then boom, just like that, 24-14. Penn State gets the ball back. They don't do anything. And then boom, Ohio State goes on another long drive. I think that was like an 85-yard drive or something, less than 10 plays. And, and just like that, Ohio State flips another gear, and they're up 31-14. and then it's game over. Um, Again, credit to Penn State for at least fighting a little bit in the first half, but as we've seen the last couple of weeks, they just don't have it. They don't have it. This whole season has completely fallen apart. And oh, by the way, now second ranked Indiana comes into Happy Valley on
By the way.
Saturday.
Yeah, by the way. Penn State, though, you do have to give them credit in that first half. It's probably one of their best first halves of the year against I guess you can say a top-tier team. All those other games that they played against the lower-tier level don't count. They stomped Ohio State in the red zone, held them to that field goal, then got a turnover, scored a touchdown on that next possession, which you were referring to. But even the quarterback, Grunkmeyer, man, he is just it looks like he is just so out of rhythm, as he probably should be as a redshirt freshman quarterback, but just throwing behind receivers there in the first half towards the end. It carried on into that second half. They didn't get the rushing game in the second half established like they did in the first half with Katron Allen as well. A couple guys made some big plays on defense, but it's like you said, in that second half, man, Ohio State just came out like a gang of wolves and took over that second half, unlike they did in the first half. And maybe they were just playing down to Penn State in that first half, too.
It could be. And look, when Ohio State gets the ball like that and they're able to impose their will and kind of do whatever they want offensively, and they go up 10. At that point, Penn State has to try to get chunks of yardage, and they don't have the personnel to do that. It seems like this year, their passing game has been mediocre at best for a lot of the season. The receivers, they aren't getting separation, and now trying to get Grunkmeyer comfortable. It's not conducive. Maybe had they held Ohio State to a field goal and at that point and made it 20-14, well, yeah, then you can maybe go more with the run and feature Katron Allen more. But once Penn State gets behind by 2 scores, they're just not built to be that type of team that can go down the field in large chunks and get a big score when they need it.
So what happens here, Johnny T, to Penn State if this keeps going the way it's going here the rest of the season? Obviously, Indiana just rolled Maryland 55-10. They're the second best team in the country. Could arguably be the number 1 team in the country, too, the Indiana Hoosiers. Coming to Happy Valley, they got that on their side playing at Beaver Stadium. But what happens here if this keeps going the way it is going? Do they make a change at quarterback with Grunkmeyer? Do they bring in a third-string quarterback to try something different? Or do they just stick with Grunkmeyer the rest of the year here?
I'm pretty sure they're going to stick with Grunkmeyer. The backup Smolik, he's banged up a little bit. To the point where they were running some plays with Liam Clifford, who I don't even know. I guess he has a little bit of experience. He's the brother of former Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford. I just don't know that they really have anybody else. I think they have to kind of roll with Grunkmeyer, and it's possible. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the roster looks like next year. But he's could very well be the quarterback next year too. So now's the time to see what they have.
Kerry Collins out of retirement.
Well, maybe. What about Chad Powers?
Yeah, man, bring him back. Yeah, Eli Manning, bring him back.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what they can do at this point. I feel I feel Penn State's really got their work cut out for them. I really want to, if nothing else, I want to see this Fernando Mendoza for Indiana, their quarterback. He's really legit. I think he's got 25 touchdown passes this year, 4 picks, and he's thrown for like 2,500 plus yards. He's having a phenomenal season. It'll be interesting to see what I think Penn State. Last I saw, they were 14.5-point underdog, which is not as big of an underdog as they were against Ohio State. I guess maybe the fact that they're playing at Beaver Stadium has something to do with that. I got 2 of my good buddies who I text with all the time, who I get a lot of Penn State info from. They're going to be at the game. So shout out to Ryan and John. I wish I was going to be there with them, but they're going to have a blast. If nothing else, than to see Indiana play, but I'm sure they'll make the best of it.
Yeah, first time for Penn State since 2003. It's a non-COVID season that Penn State has dropped 5 straight. Started 0-5 in the Big Ten. Also, the last 9 games collectively, Penn State quarterbacks have thrown 9 touchdowns on 250 pass attempts. That's only 9 touchdowns, JT. Only
That's
9
not very
touchdowns.
good.
Last 9
That's
games.
not very good.
Not too good. The secondary was toast as well. We're going to see what takes place up there in Penn State on Saturday. But even is Indiana's star receiver Elijah Surratt, is he playing in this game as well, JT? I know he suffered an injury against Maryland. Is he playing this weekend?
Yeah, that I'm not sure. I haven't looked too closely at that. I don't know. Do they need him?
Probably not. Probably not. Not in this game. They might not. They could rest him.
You know, I would think if they wanted to take their time with him, they could. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what I can certainly look that up as we're talking here to see if he is indeed going to play.
And your predictions, what's going to happen this Saturday up there in Happy Valley, JT?
Oh, Penn State's going to win. They're going to pull the upset.
Are you betting another smash burger on this?
No. Oh, no.
Can I change my bet right now?
No, I'm going to say you want like a score prediction or just who's going to win?
Give me a score. Will they cover the spread?
I think they will cover the spread. I'm going to say 37-13 Indiana.
Okay. I'll go with it. I like that score. I think Indiana may throw 40 or 50 points. I don't think the head coach there at Indiana is going to it's like our boy Artie at the radio station had said, I don't think he's going to show any mercy on this Penn State Nittany Lions team. Coming up here on Saturday, they could very well put up 40, 50 points this Saturday up in Happy Valley for sure. Let's switch gears, JT. NHL. Of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins got a lot of injuries for the Pittsburgh Penguins, as you mentioned earlier this week. Tristan Jarry just played his 300th game. He's now injured, though. The Penguins off to a hot start. And then they take on, of course, their rivals tonight, the Washington Capitals, as well.
Yeah, that should be a good game. I'm looking forward. I'd like to watch a little bit of that game. But, yeah, the injury's starting to mount a little bit with them. I think they've lost, I think it's 3 of their last 4. But, yeah, Tristan Jarry, he's out, I think, at least 3 weeks. Nola Chari's out like 3 weeks. And the other loss, I think, that's going to hurt them, at least on the scoring end, Justin Brazeau is now out about a minimum of 4 weeks. He had 6 and 6, 12 points so far, 6 goals, 6 assists. He was off to a red hot start. Yeah, was a good source of offense for them. But, you know, luckily, Crosby and Malkin are playing really well. They're kind of the driving force. And also Ricard Raquel, who had 3 goals in the early going, he's out for a little bit too. So, you know, their depth is really being tested. They've had to bring some guys up from Wilkes-Barre Scranton. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game tonight against the Caps. I'm looking forward to watching that one. But yeah, it's, you know, we talked about Pittsburgh earlier in the season. You know, going in, we didn't think they would be much of a factor in the Metro Division, but they got off to a really good start. I think they're like 8-4-2 now, even though they've struggled a little bit as of late. But you know, now we'll start to. Now, as you kind of get into the season, this is where like injuries start to pop up, and now you see, you know, if Pittsburgh can keep this going for the long term, and I think we'll get a good sense of that tonight.
Pittsburgh were up 3-0 in that Toronto game heading into that third period, and Toronto scores 4 straight goals in that third period to beat them 4-3. Ben Kindle, he scored twice for Pittsburgh. Defensively, again, for Pittsburgh on that game, and especially in the third period, they did not look good at all. Having Toronto's always tough, but scoring 4 straight goals unanswered in that third period to take the win, just not what Pittsburgh was looking for at all.
No, definitely not. And now they're going to have to. So they've had, I guess, Artur Silovs is going to be the main goaltender now, and they had a really good platoon between him and Jarry, you know, and both were playing really well, and they were able to keep each other fresh. Now they're going to be leaning on Silovs a little bit, and we'll have to see if he can, you know, shoulder that extra load, because I'm sure they're going to, you know, he's going to be getting the majority of the starts while Tristan Jarry's out of the lineup.
And always a big rivalry, too, between the Washington Capitals and the Pittsburgh Penguins. That takes place, of course, tonight. The Caps just coming off a win last night after they just lost 4 straight. Big night, history night last night for the Washington Capitals at home. Alex Ovechkin scores his 900th goal. Big game for Tom Wilson. Big game for John Carlson as well, former Hershey Bear. They get a big win last night, 6-1. Nobody saw that coming, of course, last night against the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, they really needed that game. Like you said, they had lost 4 in a row, and they needed something to go their way. They're another team that's kind of, starting to get banged up just a little bit, and they needed that in a big way. By the way, I don't know if did you see the highlight when Ovechkin scored his 900th goal? Jordan Binnington, the goalie from the Blues, took the puck.
To take the puck.
Stuffed it in his pants.
He said after the game, though, he was going to give it back to him. He wasn't going to put it on eBay for $1 million. He was going to give it back to him, he said.
Yeah, and then the linesman saw what happened, and he said something to him, and then you see Binnington fish it out of his pants and give the puck to the linesman.
It's good stuff. It is good. I mean, I believe him.
What a pro move by Binnington.
Yeah. Hey, he was just looking out for Ovechkin, man. That's what he was doing. That's all he was doing.
Right. Yeah.
900th goal, man. That's pretty incredible stuff for Alex Ovechkin. Of course, the first player in NHL history to score 900 goals. When you break it down, JT, that's 18 50-goal seasons. That's unheard of.
Wow, that's incredible.
When you break it down. When you break it down.
Yeah, what a career, and how incredible it is that he's able to play. Obviously he's lost a little bit of a step, but the fact that he can still play at this level. At his age and how many years he's been in the league, I mean, his longevity is incredible.
The St. Louis Blues came out flat during that game, and they showed it the whole entire game. They didn't score a goal until that third period. Logan Thompson again. He became the 5th goaltender over the past 20 years to allow 2 or fewer goals against in 9 consecutive appearances to begin the NHL season. So he is having a stellar career since they acquired him, of course, from Vegas. But the Capitals, maybe they can get back on track and get another win tonight out in Pittsburgh against those Penguins. But we'll see what happens tonight. It is the 99th meeting between Alex Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby tonight.
Wow. Well, yeah, that rivalry goes back a long way, and obviously so do the Penguins-Caps rivalry. I mean, if you think back to like when I started watching hockey in the 80s, I mean, the Caps and Penguins and Flyers and Islanders and Rangers, that's the old Patrick division.
Right.
So, that this rivalry has lasted many, many years, many different eras. So it's always a fun matchup when those two teams lock up.
Yeah, two teams that don't like each other. Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins go at it tonight. And also a side note, JT, also we're going to have the Washington Capitals play-by-play radio announcer coming up on a special edition, of course, of Broad Street and Beyond. We're going to have John Walton, of course, former Hershey Bears radio play-by-play announcer as well. He's going to talk Caps. He's going to talk Bears, talk about his time up in Hershey as well. He's a busy guy with the road trip coming up this weekend, but we're pretty excited to have him on the show here on Broad Street and Beyond. Yeah,
not good get by you. Again, you're coming through with your people, you have connections, you work the phones, you know how to get things done.
I just pretend that.
No.
I got people for that. My assistants are working on it. Minnie Hopper, she's working on it right now.
Oh, the Minnie Hopper is the one that broke
making
all
phone
the deals.
calls.
I understand.
She's making phone calls. Switching gears, my man, to the Philadelphia Flyers. They begin a 2-game road trip, of course, Tuesday night up in Montreal against a tough Canadiens team. Interesting game there, JT. I'll let you take it from there, but a very interesting game for the Philadelphia Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, I thought the Flyers bounced back pretty well. They had a terrible weekend. They had back-to-back home losses on last Saturday and Sunday to the Maple Leafs, and a really ugly loss against the Calgary Flames, who have really struggled out of the gate. And Rick Tocchet kind of called them out a little bit, just talking about that they need to have more of a will out there, a willingness to generate more offense, get to the middle of the ice, go to the net, drive play in the zone, and just put up more shots. The Flyers, I think, were averaging like 24 shots or maybe a little less per game, which is one of the lowest marks in the league. And then they must have the message was heard loud and clear because the Flyers put up 42 shots on Tuesday night against Montreal. They came out like gangbusters. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead in that game and looked really well. And then as good as they looked in the first period, they looked that bad in the second period. But again, Montreal, you're only going to hold them down so long. They're an ultra talented team. They made the playoffs last year, and I think they're looking to do even more this year. They've got some really talented young players. They have Lane Hudson, who was the Rookie of the Year last year, won the Calder Trophy. They've got Ivan Demidov, and they're really, and their power play it's lights out. I mean, it reminds you of watching Edmonton when, with McDavid and Draisaitl. I think you and I were talking about this earlier this week off the air. I mean, their puck movement on the power play is
incredible.
Is just
so fast,
really exciting to watch. It's just there's no stopping the puck. It's just tic tac toe, tape to tape, and no wasted motion whatsoever. So they got a couple power play goals against the Flyers, but credit to the Flyers. They came back. They played better in the third period. They got the game tying goal from Nikita Grebenkin, his first professional goal or first goal in the NHL. And then the Flyers kind of hung on for dear life in overtime because they barely had the puck.
Any chances?
But, yeah, but Dan Vladar bailed them out with some big saves, and then they got it to the shootout. And the Flyers now have become really, really good in the shootout the past couple years. Now they have Trevor Zegras, who has like the highest shootout percentage in the league, and the Flyers are now 3-0 in shootouts. So, yeah, it was a big win. Now they've got a game tonight in Nashville, so we'll see if they can. They responded to the Tockett's criticism, but the key is, can they do it consistently?
Rick Tocchet saying about the easy ice, a lot of his good players and the top players just going to the easy ice, not getting those harder goals, getting into the mix there in front of the net. They certainly did that in the first period, not so much like you said in the second and third period, but what an addition that Trevor Zegras has been in that game, man, on that shot that he had where Bobby Brink scored on the rebound. Just an absolutely incredible mindset for Trevor Zegras, waiting for space, waiting for time, waiting for two guys to get into the front of the net, takes the shot, and right there's Bobby Brink for the rebound to knock it home as well.
Yeah, he's got great vision on the ice, and he's just, he's the kind of player that the Flyers have been missing, just a playmaker type guy. He's not, he's more of the setup guy. They still need that guy or two that's going to, consistently be able to snipe goals. Right. You're hoping Michkov is that guy, but, he's off to a slow start. But, I mean, Zegras what he's been able to do for that power play is terrific. I mean, it looks like a completely different power play unit with him as an addition this year. So it'll be exciting to see him grow, and they've got him under control now for this season, but they're going to have to start thinking about an extension soon, and if he keeps playing the way he is, he's going to get a pretty hefty new contract from the Flyers.
Hopefully the Flyers find some toughness here as Rick Tocchet is searching for that on his team, and maybe they'll find it tonight here against Nashville. Over to the AHL, Hershey Bears had a pretty awesome weekend, completing a sweep Halloween night. They played Springfield, getting to win that night, and also taking on the unbeaten Providence Bruins and coming out and taking it to the unbeaten Providence Bruins in a 2-0 lead. Bjorklund gets his first AHL win in the net for the Hershey Bears. So it looks like the Hershey Bears starting to click a little bit here, JT.
Yeah, they look a lot better. They certainly seem to have shaken off their bad start. I was really impressed that they won all three of those games on the road trip especially, they got the win in Springfield last Friday night, and then to turn around the very next night and win in Providence, a team who hadn't lost. I think they were 7-0 going into that game. And The fact that they went in there and played a pretty sound game and shut them out. Bjorklund's looked pretty good in net. And they're doing this again, with a lot of new faces and a lot of young guys. Some of the guys that they've had at the beginning of the year are up with Washington now. Obviously, Ethan Frank is up there, Mir Snichenko, both of whom now are up with Washington and injured. And then they ended up Spencer Smallman got the call up to Washington as well, so they don't have him down in Hershey. So yeah, they've got some young guys they're really doing a good job. We talked before on the pod about Andrew Cristal, but obviously Graham Clark has been a huge source of offense for them this year. Trinyev has been doing really well. So it'll be interesting to see how they fared. Now they've got a couple of tough games. They're at home this weekend, but they've got some tough North Division foes in Toronto coming up on Friday night, and then I think it's Rochester on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, Bears are getting pucks to the net now. Almost 40 shots on goal on that game Halloween night, 38 shots on goal for their offense. It looks like they're starting to click a little bit. They did make some transactions as well. They're actually a better road team right now on the road at 3-1 for the Hershey Bears, 2-1 at home. But they did make a roster move, which I'm still trying to figure out exactly what they're looking to do with that transaction, trading away that Cal Rosen, who has been having a good start to the season. Maybe they're looking for more toughness. I thought Rosen had that toughness. We discussed that earlier in the week as well. They got Schoenemann from St. Louis, the Blues, and also they acquired Sam Benton from the Springfield Thunderbirds for future considerations in that trade. What do you think the Bears are looking to do in this deal here?
I'm not sure. I think the Rosen for Schoenemann deal was just a swap of two, established veteran defensemen. I think St. Louis he's played in the St. Louis organization before, so I guess they were looking to get him back. And Schoenemann's put up some pretty good numbers himself, so stats wise and experience wise, I think it's a pretty even trade. Hopefully the Bears haven't lost too much on the blue line there. The Benton pickup, I guess that gives them a little extra toughness. Although, I did see that he had like 7 fighting majors last year. So, you team him up. You team him up with Justin Nachbar. I don't know if they're going to, be in the lineup together often, but it'll be interesting to see the two of them together. A nice 1-2 punch. If a melee breaks out in the game, you have the two of them on the ice together. That should be. He had I think it was 101 penalty minutes and 7 fighting majors.
My word.
For Benton and Nachbar by far leads the Bears in penalty minutes so far this season.
Yeah, Bears 5-3-1, taking on the Toronto Marlies on Friday night and also the Rochester Americans on Sunday. Both of those games up at the Giants and are also worth noting, JT. Not sure if you saw it. Congratulations to the former Bears, Alexander Giroux, Chris Bork, Wendell Young, all going to be inducted into the AHL Hall of Fame coming up here in February. Pretty awesome.
Yes, well-deserved. Chris Bork and Alexander Giroux were just huge parts of that nucleus of Bears teams that won the back-to-back Calder Cups in 09 and 10. And Wendell Young was a long-time Hershey Bear, great goaltender. Actually got some call-ups with the Flyers and got some starts up in the NHL as well. So well-deserved for them. And also, speaking of former Bears, they play Toronto this week, and I saw that former Bear Travis Boyd is on the Marlies roster. Remember
Travis Boyd. Another guy I didn't realize that was still around, still playing.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. I think he played, was it like 5 or 6 seasons with the Bears?
Yeah, he played a long time. Yeah. He played a long time
he's there,
with them.
And then speaking of former Bears, we're going a little further back for this one, but Vinny Prospal. Remember Vinny Prospal?
Oh yeah, Vinny Prospal
played for the Bears.
He was a fan favorite.
And then played for the Fly. He's an assistant coach with Rochester.
Yeah, and also since you're throwing out stats, how about Wendell Young? He's in his 32nd year with the Chicago Wolves in their organization as well.
Is he really? Is that what he's doing?
Yeah.
And
He's in the
what is his
organization.
role?
He is the director of team relations. Back in 2002, he was an assistant coach in 2008, GM in 2022. Currently, I'm not 100% sure what he's doing, but he's currently in his 32nd year with the AHL Chicago Wolves right now. Pretty
Oh
impressive
wow,
stuff, too.
good for him. Yeah,
Yeah,
my
pretty
son and I
impressive
happen
stuff.
to be up. Yeah, my son and I actually happened to be up at the Bears game last year when they inducted the class of 2025. That was that was a first class a ceremony that they put on there before the game. The Bears do a really good job with that, and so yeah. But this, I mean, this class, I think they'll get a really nice crowd that night, especially with
Should.
guys like with Giroux and Bork coming back. I think the fans will want to come out and give them their props.
Two fan favorites there, and also the Bears mourn the passing of a heck of a two-way player back in the day, Les Duff, as well. Saw that earlier
Oh
today,
yeah,
so condolences out to his family. He
yeah,
was
that's a shame.
90 years old, so condolences out to Les Duff's family. Heck of a two-way player, also I think a member of the Calder Cup championships back in 58, 59 when they went back to back, I
Hmm.
believe, as well. So
Yeah.
condolences to his family. Let's switch on over to the NBA, National Basketball Association. The Sixers have now lost 2 straight. It is panic time in Philadelphia. All is going wrong with the Philadelphia 76ers right now, JT. Not quite.
What a bunch of bums, huh?
Yeah. Trade them all.
They had me they had me sucked in, and no, I mean I think I think that was bound to happen.
Yeah,
That
reality
loss
check.
that loss on Tuesday night to the Bulls really hurt. They led by as many as 24 in that game, and
Yeah.
they really ran out of gas in the fourth quarter. They had a lot of bad possessions. In fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, they only scored 2 points, and those were from the free throw line in the last 6+ minutes of that game. And they just
Yes.
when they needed like one or two more shots to fall, and they couldn't do it. They almost hung on, but then Vucevic got a nice dish from Josh Giddey, and he hit the 3-pointer. And the Sixers actually had a good look at the end.
Yeah.
They had
Quentin
the ball
Grimes.
with 3 seconds left. Yeah, Quentin Grimes had a straight-on 3-point attempt that didn't fall. And when they lost that game, and then you look the next night, last night they had to play the Cavaliers in Cleveland. You knew Embiid wasn't going to play, and you knew that they had nothing in the tank for that game. And Cleveland just kind of ran them right out of the gym. So we'll see what happens. I honestly didn't even look ahead to see who they have coming up.
Toronto on Saturday in Philly.
Okay, well, I think Toronto is definitely a winnable game on Saturday. So the key for them is hopefully they don't get into these ruts. They're trying to work Jared McCain back into the rotation here. They're kind of it's a strange thing right now. It's like you can tell, like with Embiid, with Maxey and Edgecombe, that they want to play fast, but they can't necessarily do that when Embiid's on the floor. It's like they have to be two different teams, and it's almost like Embiid kind of doesn't fit right now. So it's kind of a weird thing. They have to play a different style, or even when they try to play that fast style when Embiid's in the game, you kind of see him. He's not as fast as the other guys, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they kind of work that out as the season progresses.
Yeah, Sixers were down by 14 in that first quarter last night. Cut it to 3 in the second quarter. In part of it, then they had a late charge to get within 9 late in the game, but just absolutely not enough. It doesn't. Their bench guys are doing a heck of a job coming off the bench and scoring. Some of the starters, though, Edgecombs kind of came down to earth where he started off on fire. He's still getting his double-digit points, but for the most part, it seems like the Sixers are starting to get down in the third quarter. They're playing a lot of catch-up by the fourth quarter in a lot of these games, and I don't know if that's going to be a trend here going forward here with the Philadelphia 76ers, but it just seems like they're playing a lot of catch-up basketball right now on teams, and by the fourth quarter, they're down, they're trying to catch up and trying to get back into the game, but hopefully that's not the case here going forward with the Sixers.
Well, and you don't know how sustainable that's going to be, and you also worry about already, like they really have to play Maxey so many minutes, and you worry about him getting worn down. So Yeah, we'll see. I'll be interested to see now that's back-to-back losses, and we'll see how they respond Saturday night against the Raptors.
Yeah, and it looks like they're doing okay without Joel Embiid in that game too. I mean, he's still playing his 20 minutes, of course, with his injury, and they're watching the clock on him. But they're still playing pretty decent without Joel Embiid in the lineup.
Yeah, and now they've structured his minutes a little differently now that they can have him in the game in the fourth quarter. So he was playing late in the game against Boston last Friday night, and then he was in there late on Tuesday against the Bulls. He didn't play last night. Obviously, he's not going to play back to back, but he took some shots that he was front rimming in that loss to the Bulls that they needed him to make that really could have stemmed the tie. But yeah, I mean, they don't really. But again, I think that's more because of the fast style they like to play. They don't necessarily, it's not, everything's not running through him anymore, so they can still do some good things when he's not playing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the 76ers. Nick Nurse, he's another coach, just like Rick Tocchet, that doesn't really mince words in a press conference after the game. So we'll see what happens with the Philadelphia 76ers going forward. Switching gears to the NFL, we talked about the Ravens. Thursday night, that's when we had our last show. They took down the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football, the return of Lamar Jackson. That went well, big 28-6 win over the Dolphins. To be expected, though, that win over, of course, Miami, who has just been struggling all season long. They now take on Minnesota coming up here in Week 10.
Yeah, this is a big one. I mean, they're all kind of big for Baltimore at this point. They dug themselves such a deep hole there with the Lamar Jackson injury, but they need this game. They've got to stay. I think they were maybe optimistic that after they beat the Dolphins, they might pick up another game on the Steelers, but and I'm sure we'll talk about the Steelers in just a moment, but they stepped it up with a big win last Sunday over the Colts. So right now the Ravens are 2 back in the loss column of Pittsburgh in the AFC North. So they've got to win this game. They've got to stay within striking distance and find a way to beat the Vikings, who themselves looked pretty good last Sunday with J.J. McCarthy back at quarterback. They got a big win over Detroit. So this is I would say probably one of the key matchups coming up this weekend in the NFL.
Yeah, and sticking in that same division, as you mentioned, the Steelers taking on the Colts, the 7-1 Colts at the time. Man, oh man, did the Steelers look good or what? Their defense looked absolutely incredible in that game against Indianapolis, coming out with the big victory against the Indianapolis Colts. They were getting to Daniel Jones in the backfield as well. What a game for Pittsburgh, though.
Yeah, they really, I think two of the things that we criticized them about earlier, like in earlier pods, was that their defense hadn't been playing very well, and they don't do a very good job running the ball. However, Aaron Rodgers is having a pretty good season. I think he's doing all the right things. He's playing, he's not making any mistakes. He's playing really smart football. But the two things that they weren't doing well for most of the season, they did pretty well last Sunday against the Colts. I mean, like you said, their defense was all over the place, and I don't know if that was just a different mindset or they changed some things. I mean, the only thing they did was they added Duggar, the safety from the Patriots, in a trade. So maybe that made a big difference. But Peyton Wilson, he was all over the place in that game. He made 14 tackles. He was he caused a key turnover in that second half that led to the score that put him up 24-7. And I'm not. They didn't run the ball great, but they ran the ball effectively in that game. Jaylen Warren. I always want to say
for Pittsburgh.
Jaylen Warren.
Yep.
For Pittsburgh, scored 2 touchdowns in that game. And like you said, that was maybe the first time this year that Daniel Jones looked
uneasy,
pretty ordinary, kind of like the old Daniel Jones with the Giants. For the most part, he's been really, really good, and that was the first game. In a tough environment to play. Pittsburgh can be a tough place to play in, but they really made things uncomfortable for him. So all credit to the Steelers. They really stepped it up, and again, a game that they needed to win, because now you started to think with the loss to the Packers and the Bengals, and the Ravens getting Lamar Jackson back, that Baltimore's going to start nipping at their heels. So they needed that win. But they've got a tough one now coming up. They got a game Sunday night out in L.A. against the Chargers. So it doesn't get any easier for the Steelers.
Yeah, all season long, the Colts only had 4 turnovers the whole entire year. 5 sacks for the Pittsburgh defense as well, all over Daniel Jones with pressure all day. Daniel Jones threw another pick in that game with 3 minutes, 36 seconds left in that game.
Right.
They were Colts got the ball back. They were down by 10. Then he threw the pick, which was the 6th turnover for the Colts in that ball game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They needed that one at home, and they certainly did get it. Aaron Rodgers was also mixing it up. He threw to 9 different receivers in that ball game. Decent game for him. 25, 35, 203 yards, and 1 touchdown for Aaron Rodgers. A big game, like you said, against the Chargers upcoming here, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty entertaining game. You know, Justin Herbert's playing really well. He's having a really good season for the Chargers. So, it's going to be the Steelers are going to have their work cut out for them. Again, going out on the road too, going out on the West Coast. It's never an easy trip to make. So I think it's going to be a tough game for the Steelers. But you know, if they play like they did last week, they should certainly at least be in the game. So it'll be interesting to see what the division. Speaking specifically about the AFC North, what that division looks like at the end of this upcoming weekend.
The Philadelphia Eagles, they had a bye, JT. Didn't really do much in that bye week, did they? It's Howie Roseman's season, picking up a lot of guys here in the off week. They did a trade with the Baltimore Ravens, of course, acquiring former Pro Bowl cornerback Alexander, not giving up much, a 7th-round pick. They also gave that to the Eagles for a 2026 6th-round pick, kind of a low-risk, high-reward trade. They also then traded with Miami, getting the edge rusher Jalen Phillips. They also acquired Michael Carter as well this past week. A lot of transactions for the Eagles, adding a lot of depth here. Howie doing it once again to try and get that depth for the Philadelphia Eagles and make that run at another Super Bowl championship here.
Yeah, I think he's looking to, you know, maybe with Michael Carter II and Jair Alexander, he's hoping that, you know, they can regain a little bit of the form that they had and just maybe add a little depth. That's certainly been the depth at corner has been a weak spot for them. It remains to be seen what they do with that the other corner spot, the other starting quarter spot, if they make Cooper DeJean the outside corner and then kind of work in Michael Carter II and Jair Alexander more of in the nickel corner slot position. We'll wait and see. And now I'll be interesting to see now with what their depth looks like on the defensive line at edge now with Brandon Graham now in the mix coming out of retirement. They added Jalen Phillips. You know, I guess there's a chance they opened up the practice window for Nolan Smith. So it's possible he could be back coming up for Monday night's game against the Packers. So we'll see. He certainly didn't stand pat. He made a lot of moves to try to bolster the areas that he thought that the Eagles defense was deficient in, and we'll see. This is a big test coming up. This is really these next 3 games are I would say the teeth of the Eagles schedule with the Packers, the Lions, and then at Dallas.
Sure.
So we'll see what the Eagles look like, you know, coming out of this stretch of games.
Yeah, Howie continues to work his magic and make them a Super Bowl contender once again this season. A lot of talk this week, too. I'm sure you heard about it. A.J. Brown, should have they traded him here at the trade deadline? A lot of folks saying he should have went to a better team, somebody that's going to utilize his assets a little bit more than what the Eagles are doing. Your thoughts on that? I mean, A.J. Brown, come on, he's their best receiver on the team. He hasn't been in the mix as much as he should be this season, but I think that's over time here, A.J. Brown's going to get back into the mix for the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think that was just, you know, people trying to create buzz and say that they were going to trade him. I think there's some economics involved there too. A lot of his money has been spread out into what are called voidable years, kind of like off in the distance. And once you get rid of a guy like that, like all that money becomes due right away. So yeah, you could trade AJ Brown, but then all of a sudden you're going to have to pay all of that. All of that dead cap money is then owed to AJ Brown, and you got to pay it up right away in that year. So,
Right.
and I forget it was a huge amount of dead cap money. So the Eagles were not about to do that. And again, you know, you wonder how much validity there was to that. Yeah, yes, I'm not denying there aren't issues with AJ Brown, maybe between he and Jalen Hurts, but that doesn't mean that this isn't fantasy football.
You can't just trade
There's
him.
real money. There's real money involved, and you can't just the Eagles are gonna. My sources are telling me the Eagles are gonna trade him, or no, it's not gonna. Obviously it didn't happen, and I don't think it was ever close to happening. I'm sure, I'm sure there was a team that inquired about it, but I don't know that was ever really a serious thing.
He's still the top receiver, one of the top receivers in the National Football League. Do the Eagles got to get him more in the mix? They do. But again, they have so many weapons on this Philadelphia Eagles team right now offensively that, which direction do you go? I mean, you got Saquon Barkley in the backfield. You got Dylan in the backfield. You got multiple wide receivers. You got multiple tight ends that are top notch, that any team would take any of these guys to be starting on their team. I mean, Eagles definitely got to get him in the mix, but it's tough with that offense, man. Where do you go in that offense? Where do you go?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think they really want to get back to seeing if they can repeat or get back to running the ball consistently and repeat what they did against the Giants, where they had a huge, Saquon had his best game of the year. They've started to work Tank Bigsby into the mix now, and also Will Shipley. So, if they can run the ball more consistently like they did last year, that's going to open things up more for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They're starting to do some more things under center with Jalen Hurts, I think, which makes their offense less predictable. And I think you saw that against a little bit against Minnesota and a lot against the Giants. So we'll see if they do that coming up against Green Bay. This is a huge test. I think Green Bay has had some hiccups, certainly some perplexing losses to Cleveland and to Carolina, but I still think they're one of the most complete teams in the NFC with defensively, and they have a lot of playmakers on offense that Jordan Love can throw to. So, and it's a prime game on Monday Night Football. I know that the Packers are going to be motivated, especially after they lost the way they did last week against Carolina. So it'll be a huge test, but, hopefully, the Eagles had an extra week to rest, and hopefully they come out fresh and healthier, and looking forward to seeing what happens Monday night.
Yeah, big game in Lambeau Field on Monday Night Football. Cannot wait for that as the Eagles get back at it against the Green Bay Packers coming off that loss. 16-13 to the Carolina Panthers. JT, it's always fun, man. Another episode. Broad Street and Beyond is down. We still got tons more to come, more surprises to come as well. I think next week we may reach out to Wayne Gretzky, get him on the show.
Oh, yeah? Do you have his number,
your thoughts? Yeah, dial him up.
You gonna send him a text?
That's what we like to do here. We'd like to throw you surprises and just get you into the mix of all the folks that are, in the mix out there, front and center in the sports world. So we're just trying to bring that to you. Just remember to like, subscribe, and share. That helps us out, of course, with Broad Street and Beyond. And you also get up to date on all the latest episodes of Broad Street and Beyond. JT, it's been fun, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Of course, spending the time with me here. It's always fun with you here on Broad Street and Beyond.
Yeah, love chatting with you. Did you ask LeBron? Is LeBron available?
No, I don't like LeBron.
Well, you didn't.
I would never ask LeBron. No, I would never ask LeBron.
Well, if you don't
tell
ask
me don't tell me he's the GOAT either. Don't tell me he's the GOAT.
No. I'm just saying. If you don't ask, the answer is always no, right?
It's always no. It is. Yes.
That's right.
Thank you, JT. Have a good week, buddy. Enjoy the sports.
See you, brother. All right. Talk to you soon.